Better than that, we'll come to order.
Yes, yeah.
Call to order and roll call, please.
Nancy Kupfer.
Here.
Julia Beckman.
Here.
Mike Davenport.
Here.
Don Renner.
Here.
Terry Pavicic.
Here.
And Rick Pavanato.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I believe we're starting this night off with a student perspective.
That's correct, Dr. Kupka, and we'll have Mr. Kasich, the principal at North High, introduce students and staff who are going to present to us tonight.
Thank you, Dr. McDonald. It is my pleasure to introduce some of our officers from our Direct Action Club. And Direct Action's goal and mission is to make a difference. And they look at making a difference through volunteerism and also contributing to charitable activities. I do want to introduce Karen Brown, one of the faculty sponsors of that, and I'm going to have three of our officers, Christine, Marie, and Troy, come up and talk a little bit about some of the activities they've done in the past and what they have planned for the upcoming year.
Hi, so I would like to open with basically just an overview of what Direct Action is and how it has impacted me. My name is Christine Ahn, and I'm a senior at Downers Grove North. I transferred to North during my sophomore year, and I didn't know anybody. And when I first transferred, I only joined to make friends. But after seeing how Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Mangelsdorf were and how the club ran, making friends was no longer something that came to mind when I thought of Direct Action. It has changed me and has made me into a leader and has taught me to help out in my community in all ways possible. You may be wondering what Direct Action is, and I don't even know where to start. Direct Action is not just a club. We help out in our community, but we are also aspiring members of our society. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Marie, who will go further into depth of what we do.
Hi, I'm Marie Boulis, and I'm a junior at Downers Grove North High. I'm an avid student. I just applied to be a member of NHS. I am a Positively North Star. I'm in Spanish Club, and I do mission trips over the summer, and of course, Direct Action. I just wanted to say that one of our biggest events that we do every year is the shoe drive, which is where we announce to our whole school that everybody donates shoes. It's all donated, and the money goes to Africa to help out. Another thing is the Giving Tree, which is where classrooms or students at Downers Grove North adopt a family, and they are in charge of buying them presents to make their Christmas better. Another thing is we do Feed My Starving Children at least twice a year, which is a great event. And at the beginning of each year, we sell Carson coupons, and the money goes to Direct Action, and at the end of the year, a big donation is made to Easter Seals, which is to help people with disabilities and children with autism. And I'll let you guys listen to Troy.
Hello everyone, it's awesome to be here. I'm Troy Shoemaker. I've been a member of Direct Action for 2 years now. I'm a sophomore at North. And our motto is make a difference, so that's what we really aim to do. Despite the fact that we're only maybe a club of 20 people, I've seen this difference and this impact we've had through things like the Giving Tree and the shoe drive, especially the shoe drive. We've, in the past year, we've collected 10 times what we expected to collect. I think 500 pairs of shoes, and after we sold those, the money went to Africa, where it could help build schools and buy textbooks for kids in need. And it's just super surprising that, a club in a suburb of Chicago can have a global impact and help bring something so important as education to a place, thousands of miles away. So that's really special to me. And in addition to that, the Giving Tree has been also one of my favorites. We've given, the chance to actually have a Christmas experience to people who couldn't have it. I think 175 people have been, touched by this giving tree. 25 seniors and 150 kids have gotten, the joy of Christmas once again, something they couldn't have. So we've helped on both a global and a local scale, and through this we've also helped ourselves. We've become more conscious of the world around us. We've become more aware of the problems others have and how we can try to like ease those problems. And I think that Christine and Marie would agree that it makes us so happy, and it makes us feel like we're fulfilling our lives. And I mean, that's all due to the fact that one of the most gratifying things you can possibly do in life is put a smile on someone else's face. And that's what we try to do every day at Direct Action. Thank you.
Wow. Thank
Well
you.
said.
Wow. I'm just
Lovely
gonna-
presentation.
That's
Any
fantastic.
questions or?
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, so how does the shoe drive work? Do people buy new shoes, or are they donating shoes that they're done with? But
Yeah.
is that what happens?
They donate shoes to us. We call the whole school. We try to get as much shoes as we can. And then I think Stuff for the Poor is the company that like organizes it all. And they take these shoes and they sell them, and the money that they get from that goes straight to Africa to help with education and building of schools.
So when's your next shoe drive?
Is it soon? I think November. Yeah.
November?
For your
Is
closet?
it for like the whole month, or
I think
just
isn't it like 2 weeks?
2 weeks?
Yeah. 2 weeks.
All right. So, and anybody can drop off, not just
Oh yeah, anyone.
people at the school.
Any type of shoe.
Well, I've got a
anything.
few pairs of running shoes.
Cool.
I'll bring them by.
We'll take those.
Absolutely. How terrific.
And isn't Community Days coming up?
Excuse me?
Carson's Community Days,
Yeah.
isn't it
Yeah.
coming up?
That's soon, too.
Yeah, it's a Carson's coupons, and that's a whole like it's mandatory for everyone in Direct Action, and it raises a lot of money for Direct Action and funds trips to feed my starving children and everything like that. Yeah, it's coming up.
Great.
Some really powerful things, thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thanks so
Yeah,
much.
thanks for having
I
us.
hope that your group can grow.
Yeah, me too.
That's a lot of accomplishment for 20 kids.
Yeah,
How many years has the group been in existence?
is that like
Mm.
25 years?
So
It's an
it's,
old.
it's really kind of a tradition
Yeah,
at the school.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I've gone to Feed My Starving Children a few
Mhm.
times.
It's a
and that's
great place.
That's a great experience,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And there's great teamwork that happens
Yeah.
when you're there.
You really feel like
it's-
you're doing something
so it's-
special.
It's a fun thing to do, and you're doing something wonderful for other
Mhm.
people as well. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I should say that it's an old public health adage to think globally and act locally. And you do make an impact in the world, both in the community and the world at large. And we're really proud of you. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Thank you.
representing us so well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, School Exec Connect presentation of the superintendent profile.
All right, so at this time, we'll have Tom and Kathy come up. You can have a seat up there if you'd like.
Want to sit here?
Yeah.
I know.
Want to be able to look at everyone.
We were just saying we can't see you.
That's the problem with sitting. I've been vanquished to this side my whole time on the board.
Do you wanna
It's
turn
always
the-
been an
We
issue,
can swing.
just-
Want to turn the
We can swing
table?
Yeah.
Swing it out a little bit.
Have Pete go into the closed session.
It's an unfortunate situation because of how we do with the recording, and it's how it has to be, so. Awesome,
So can we.
like that.
Thank you.
I'd like to think we can, anyway.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Another pretty color.
Yes,
Forget I knew if I
the
did.
fall colors.
Too by Chicago.
Oh, okay, thank you. Appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pretty decent response. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you very much. It's good to be here again tonight and to see you. And I just want to say that Tom and I have had a lot of fun in the last few weeks talking with so many of your staff members, and a special treat was getting to talk to some of your students. They really are so proud of their school. So it was really fun for us to do that. So you should all be really proud of the district that you have here. We're here tonight to go over with you what we've heard from these stakeholders. So the board requested that we conduct focus groups with a wide variety of stakeholders, which we did. We'll give you more information about that in a little bit. And that we conduct an online survey to get input from your stakeholders, and we'll give you some info about that. And I just want to thank very, very much Julie and Jill and Pete. They really put together a great schedule for us to meet with the focus group people, had us talk to a really wide variety of people, and so thanks to the three of them, and certainly I know the board had input in that as well. But from that, we have put together, from what we heard from the focus groups, what we heard from the online survey, we put together what we call our new superintendent profile. So it's information-based or gathered from all of these sources.
And the student presentation you've just heard this evening, just generalize what they're doing. It'd be a perfect metaphor for the entire district. All the people, adults as well as students, and all the programs. And that's what we heard here was an example of the many things we've heard about District 99. How should the profile be used? Probably the first item is the key. It should be used as a screen or a filter to help us screen people into the process, screen others out of the process, and in particular to know specifically what types of individuals to recruit for this position. Other advantages of the profile is it allows you to get a glimpse of the thinking of your constituents, the district's constituents, in terms of strengths, challenges, and qualities and characteristics needed in the next superintendent. The information is going to help us develop interview questions as we conduct the first round of interviews. And certainly we want to share this profile with all candidates so that they have a good idea of this district and what they'd have to look forward to by coming here.
So we're going to talk first about the data collection. Online survey, we had 219 responses, which actually is a decent number. It really is. I think we've both done searches in districts larger than this one and had far fewer responses. So, you know, you did a great job of getting the word out there and advertising it. And what I always say is that if there were huge burning issues and people were really upset about stuff, you probably would have more survey responses. So I always take that as a good sign. But it's a healthy number. And we personally talked to 125 people in the different focus groups. And Tom's going to talk a little bit more about who we talked to. But know that this isn't a scientific study. It provides the perceptions of the people we interviewed, and what we were listening for are themes, things that we were hearing again and again and again. And so that's what we're reporting back to you from the focus group. The survey information is pretty straightforward. I mean, it is what it is. It's percentages, we rounded them off. So if we look at that, 63% of the people that responded were parents, staff members 21%, 8% students, which is great. I always love to have students have an opportunity and actually take the survey. 7% community stakeholders, and 1%, I don't know who they were, but others, others who are just interested, like to fill out surveys, I guess. So the educational strengths, not a surprise. The largest one was the quality of the teaching staff, your challenging and rigorous curriculum, your opportunities for students outside the classroom, technology for learning, and appropriate class size. Know that we are only showing you those survey responses that at least 1/3 of the people indicated as a strength or a challenge or a priority. If you want the entire survey, we can absolutely get that to you. The whole survey and everything else, we can get that to you. But for the purposes of tonight, we're summarizing, these were the big ones. Only 2 needed educational improvements. I think this was a category that we asked people to select the top 5, and only 2 of them had enough responses that, a third of the people responded. Educating students for a global future, tailoring instruction to individual students. I think we heard, again, that there were, when we talked to the focus groups, and as indicated by the survey, there seemed to be far more strengths than there were challenges, so that's another good thing. As far as strengths in the areas of organizational and managerial, communication with parents and community is great, clean and attractive schools, image of the district, student safety, community support of education. Those were the strengths. The only one that came up, 1/3 of the people said stewardship of financial resources. And I think that's, I don't think that's a reflection on Mark. I think that is, no, not at all. I think that is people just know that that is an issue and it's going to continue to be an issue. And, they hope that the district continues to be paying attention to it. So, and actually, I was sort of surprised. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
hi there. The priorities for the new superintendent, really only 2 of them popped up as being above 33%, and that was student growth and achievement and student well-being, emotional and social. And, I will say that as we talked to some of the focus group people, that came up so often that you do such a good job with the social emotional learning pieces. And so, people want that to continue. So the characteristics or skills needed for the new superintendent, a deep knowledge of curriculum and instruction came out first, a clear vision for leading, somebody who builds teams and brings out the best in others, collaborative, includes others, has excellent communication skills, warm and approachable, holds others accountable, 38%, understands finance and the business side, is child-centered, and works well with the board. Again, there were others, but those were the ones that rose to the top, and I think that we heard many of those same things come out in our focus groups.
There are school districts that need somebody to come in and rattle cages and shake things up, and even to the point of a my way or the highway kind of person. That's not what this district needs. We've heard over and over and over again, starting with the Board of Education and through all the other groups. As I mentioned earlier, the focus group questions really focused on the strengths, the challenges, and the qualities and characteristics of the next superintendent. We had 16 focus groups. You can see the different groups that we met with. We held 2 open forums for staff and 1 open forum for parents and community. The district's strengths identified through the focus groups, and you're going to hear some repetitiveness, which is good, to the survey results.
And I should just mention, these are not in any order. These are not ranked, they're not in order, they're just what they are.
The survey results you looked at were ranked.
Yes.
You could see
How
that.
many staff members, how many community members participated? Around?
Out of the 125, I would say probably 100.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Close to it, 90 to 100.
Department chairs, open forum.
Certified,
staff,
non-certified, yeah.
Thank you.
Again, one of the strengths is a highly qualified, highly dedicated, stable staff. And that applies to administrative staff as well. High expectations, we kept hearing over and over again, permeates the district. One of the strains and stresses that has been part of this district for a long time is high expectations, and we can't back off of that. We have to keep pushing ourselves to maintain and even achieve higher results. That's part of the culture here, but it's also probably the main basis for the hard work and the strain and stress that you all feel. It's a good thing. There's reportedly a good cohesive articulation between the 2 campuses and also with the feeder districts. You have a very strong comprehensive high school model here in terms of programs, both academic, extracurricular. There's something for everybody, and we heard that earlier this evening. We've got a very strong group, important. They have 20 members, and in some districts they're thinking, well, 20 is that enough? Well, obviously it's enough because they're making a huge difference, but there is something for everybody. The recent implementation of the one-to-one, the professional development model that exists in this school community, coaching model. Planning and decision-making are collaborative and strategic. That's the opposite of the my way or the highway kind of example I used earlier. That's been part of this culture, and everyone hopes that it continues. Great student body in a safe environment. The district is financially sound and stable. That's a strength. You're going to hear just in a second or a few minutes that a challenge is to continue to fight that battle, because it's getting harder and harder. And here's one that just kept coming in over and over again. The district is not comfortable with even entertaining the idea of resting on its laurels. It has many accolades, it has many accomplishments, and there's almost a fear that we're going to backslide, and we've got to keep pushing forward. Excellent communication with staff, parents, community, very involved and supportive teachers, a very strong education foundation. The district has a long tradition of excellence and tradition. Some of the challenges that were mentioned, as you just said, although the financial condition is stable, there's always concern about maintaining that stability and ensuring it into the future. Challenges become harder and harder. And of course, continuing to ensure the highest quality of curriculum. What you're seeing here are, you look at the strengths, and the challenges are maintaining the strengths, and oftentimes. Understanding the balance between the two campuses, a need for consistency, of course, but yet there are differences between the two campuses. In some cases, and some parts of the facilities are aging, lack of air conditioning in some parts of the buildings, and the need to continue to focus on a long-term master facility plan.
I'll just say that air conditioning thing came up, especially the week we were talking to people, because that was the week when it was like 97. People would come into the rooms where we were interviewing and just, air conditioning would be nice. So,
We had to kick them out.
yeah, you got to go back to class now. So, I mean, we heard that a lot. But
Another challenge, there are a relatively large number of feeder school districts and feeder schools, because many of these districts are multi-school. It makes articulation, communication with the feeder districts, and equal access to opportunities, just makes it more difficult. Increasing diversity in the community, numbers of low-income, at-risk students, increasing number of students with growing emotional, social needs, addressing the minority gap, achievement gap. Then again, another challenge is as you become more diverse, educating all stakeholders in terms of multiculturalism. Continuing the implementation and assessment of the one-to-one program, and of course a pressing challenge will be the need to hire a new principal for North High School due to Scott's resignation in June. Now, as we look at the kind of qualities and characteristics, these are the things we're hearing. An experienced, seasoned leader with a well-rounded educational background. Someone who's very good at building teams and building relationships, who is comfortable enough to empower people, capitalize on their strengths, is an effective delegator, strategic thinker who sees the big picture and will make the right decisions even when those are difficult, a visionary leader who will move the district forward, and someone who embraces the high expectations held by the community. It's one thing to put up with them. It's another thing to actually say, well, it's as it should be, and to embrace those high expectations. Other qualities and characteristics, certainly someone who is student-centered, keeps teaching and learning as a top priority, a strong, clear, proactive, and creative communicator with all stakeholders. Collaboration, we've heard before, and we keep hearing, is very important in the culture of this school community. Someone who is willing to collaborate, believes he or she will make better decisions through collaboration, and can unify when necessary. Somebody with very strong people skills, especially being an excellent listener. Has good experience working with a school board, and has a reputation for being honest and trustworthy. additional strengths, qualities and characteristics, someone who values the contributions of all staff and other stakeholders, treats everyone with equal respect, is visible in the district and community, and works to continue to enhance the image of the district, respects the district's history and culture, is eager to work closely with leaders from neighboring districts and communities,
Sorry about that.
and is eager
Andrea.
to work closely with the Education Foundation.
So, next steps, you certainly give you an opportunity to ask some questions, but next steps then, just to review, Tom and I will use this, as he said, as the filter and the screen as we interview people and do reference checks, and as we recruit people. We'll come back to the board October 19th with our recommendation of candidates to you. Then you'll conduct those first interviews and choose your 3 finalists. You'll then interview those finalists, the committees, confidential committees, staff members and administrators and community members, whoever you choose. We'll interview the 3 finalists and give some feedback to you. You'll hold second interviews with those finalists, and then hopefully all come to consensus on the right person. And then we'll walk you through that process of making those 14 reference checks to a piece, if you want to do that piece, and negotiate the contract. And then the new person should be off and running on July 1st. And I believe the date that you had scheduled, if all goes according to plan, select that new superintendent was December 14th. So it's a good plan, I think. It's a good timeline. It's doable.
A little tight, but it's fast.
It is fast, but
We gave you a lot of information in a hurry. We both believe that we have a really good idea of the kind of person you need. Is there anything we've missed, anything that this report should contain that we need to keep in mind?
I don't think so.
No.
Doesn't look like anything is coming to anybody's mind.
Pardon?
It doesn't look like anybody's.
No.
Okay.
We covered a lot. I mean,
This is what we'll use then, and anything comes to mind, we've told all the groups, please continue to give us feedback, because our own understanding of what's needed here will continue to be informed over the next month, certainly. Okay?
I think it's going to
Thank
be
you very much.
Thank you. So now we're going to move into closed session. I need a motion to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the district or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity.
So moved.
Mike moves, Terry seconds.
Don moved.
Don moved, Terry seconded.
Thank you. Don Renner.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Julia Beckman.
Aye.
Deb Boyle.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye. Thank you. We're moving into closed session. We'll return hopefully shortly to continue on with the board workshop.
Okay.
We are hereby here
at all
for the
those
communications
checks.
report.
Thank you, Dr. Kupka. The next report is about the new website and how we're using it for different things, and that's going to be Ms. Browning and our new business manager, Jeree.
We know that the most important component of our communications program are our websites, and we know that from our communication survey. Our last one that we had was in 2014. Over 80% of the people said the most important thing to them are our websites. So we know that we cannot rest on our laurels, just like we heard the superintendent search people say. We're always continuing to push and to make it better. And so we know that this serves as a launch pad to everything else, and we really need to pay attention to how our websites look and feel. This right here is not our new website. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but this is the website that we launched back in 2011, which at the time we really thought was innovative, progressive, and then all of a sudden, later, and it's 2015, and it's time to update it. The website provider that we used had kind of an old business model. We created the site with us. They gave us the code, we owned the code, and it never got updated. automatically. So we had to buy different components of it in order to make it more progressive. So it was kind of stale. So the number one reason why we decided to revamp our site was to make it more mobile friendly. Our current website was not, I don't know if you went on your phone and you went like this and went like this to try to determine, what you were viewing. So that was the number one reason why we decided we needed to do something about our new website, or for a new website. So this is what we launched at the end of August, and it's more simplified, more intuitive for people. It's easier for people to update behind the scenes as well. We went with a provider that once they update the code, they send it to all providers, or all subscribers rather, so that we automatically receive any updates that are pushed out. So economies of scale are important for that. We also wanted a provider that was providing excellent service. We really use the web provider as an extension of our team because we don't have many people to support us with that. So that was an important reason to go outside. We looked at a few different providers, and this provider that we went with is called Campus Suite, and they are dedicated to schools, which was nice to have, not supporting different types of businesses. So they are lower cost. Mark will be glad to know that they were the lowest cost provider, or gave us a bid. Unlike all the two other ones that we talked to, they did not charge us a $10,000 setup fee. It was part of that cost, so that was nice. And our monthly fees are about 20% of what we're currently paying. So it's cheaper, it's better, it's a standard format, which I think looks sharp. People have said, it's essentially the same content, but it looks fresh and it looks clean. So those are nice terms to use in other things, so I think websites as well. It also includes a newsletter function, which I don't know if anybody has clicked into that. I think some of you have received the newsletters.
The newsletter function.
Let's see.
Okay.
That's for another thing. I think I put it on here. But we're able to aggregate all the content that we already have on our website and that we already publish to easily transfer that into a newsletter. And I think it's more practical for people to receive this. It lists all the upcoming events. We're using Google Calendars to just transfer that to people's own calendars, and we've received some good feedback. We started a new publication called the D99 Docket, which is really just pushing out all of those calendar items as well. Over 800 people have signed up for it, so I think that it's of value. So we're excited about the new website, and look forward to any feedback you have too. But another nice thing about the website is that we'll be able to have teacher pages. And Glenn Williams is always an early adopter, so he has already filled out his own sheet. And behind the scenes, it just makes it easier for people to update their own content. Everybody has a login, so they can publish as much or as little as they wish. So he uploaded his photo, his degrees, which are pretty impressive, and his work experience, and can direct people to that. So. And actually, he did make the comment.
Things I didn't know about him.
We have a tremendously improved digital presence, so that's always nice to hear from someone who's an early adopter. But one nice thing too, I said it's like a launching pad for all of the other things that we have. And Jeree here has worked hard on different systems and providing more convenient ways to connect with our people, our families who need us. So she's going to, and this is Jeree. I don't know if you all know her yet. No. This is the board.
Hello.
Hello. So I didn't know where you wanted to go.
We can start with Web Store. And it was actually a team effort between all of technology and then Ken Sorensen and Omar Davis, myself, and Mark Stalen. So the first thing we'd like to look at here is the district's web store. We launched it in July with registration this year. It was our first usage. It was quite successful. We received a lot of positive feedback from, did you hear about it? Yes.
No, I did it. It was
No.
nice.
Oh, you did it? Okay, yes. Good, good, from both parents and staff. One interesting piece is it has an interface with our student database, so when a parent logs in and they make their school fee payments, it's automatically logged into the student database, which is a huge plus for the staff.
That's great.
Just to give you an idea of, I think, how convenient it was compared to the other system that we used, we've collected over $715,000 in school fees to date, compared to the old system, same time last year, was about $170,000 in fees. So big difference.
I like that.
And so we were just talking today with the successful launch of this web store with registration. The schools now are interested in starting to use it for things like spirit wear, dance tickets, so on and so forth. So we're looking forward to rolling that out soon. Does anybody have any questions on the web store?
I did, and this is just a thought, not necessarily, I'm advocating, but on the website, there's a foundation page, and if you go to the foundation page, there's instructions on how you could make a donation to the foundation, and it just says to mail in, a payment to the foundation.
Sure.
You should have a
If we
link.
could do that on the web store for making a donation to the foundation, I think we might be able to solicit and receive more donations to the foundation. Making it easier to make a donation is always a good idea.
Sure.
I just don't know if that's what the district wants to do. I know they're two different entities, but
Yeah, there's that.
Foundation's website is the high school district's website. There really isn't a separation between the two in that regard.
And we do solicit donations to the foundation in our registration materials.
We do, but not in this easy format.
No, that's,
Yeah.
my point is that there is already, the nexus already exists.
Yeah.
That's not a,
It's a great idea.
A novel
it's not
idea.
well, it's not a,
No reason not to do it.
yeah, it's not a reason, there's already connection there, we're already soliciting donations. What you're suggesting would make that more feasible for people.
Okay.
People are less likely to write a check and mail it versus.
Especially if it's like a $5 thing.
Right.
Whereas if you could just click, I mean, that, you might get a lot of smaller donations that we're missing out on right now.
That includes the boosters, too.
Yeah.
We're writing checks. It'd be easier to just go,
Boy, that would,
Yeah, that's got a lot of potential. Okay.
Yes, I think that sounds great, and that's what we're hoping to look into, what other offers we can put out there for the schools, and then also possibly the foundation.
Working with the boosters is a great,
I think it's a great idea.
suggestion as well.
Make it a lot easier for those booster volunteers.
I feel guilty for not suggesting it
Going in
myself.
through there, do you also put money on your lunch card?
That is a different site.
Right.
Oh.
Yes, it is
Okay.
completely separate,
There it
yes.
is, my school.
But we do have a new system for that this
Right.
year, too,
Okay.
called My School Bucks,
That's
which
very
many
cute.
of the local feeder districts use.
Oh, okay.
and I'll say this, not that it was ever that difficult, but again, it was so fast, so easy. I
Oh,
was really
good to hear,
appreciative.
good, I thought so,
We had an
too.
issue with the transition of accounting of some money coming forward or something. I forget, my wife was saying she
Was
had
there.
some issue with it.
Okay.
And the other plus on My School Bucks is now staff can have, set up their own account and go to the cafeteria, and they don't have to have cash on them. They can just load their account up and go there with their card and purchase lunch. So, yeah. So far, so good with this.
Nice.
And the last one that I'd like to point out is the free and reduced application. This is a new online system that we're using to allow families to go right online in their private homes and apply for free or reduced meals. It's also received very good feedback.
Good.
along with the privacy, then it also, this system then interfaces with the system in the cafeterias, and so that information is always current in the cafeteria. So when the application is submitted, it's quickly approved or denied, and the information is sent right to the cafeteria. Wow. So it's also very good.
Nice.
Any questions on either one of those?
Oh, that's very good.
Good stuff.
Nice work.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Helpful tools to our community. Yeah.
Great, okay. Back to you,
And
Jim.
Oh, that's all.
the website redesign, I think, is just
It's really nice.
Simple, clean, not too busy, not trying to communicate too much at one glance, but just what's important. And
Well, and from your iPads or from your phones,
Right.
it adapts, and that's the whole key that we were missing, so.
Maybe a picture of the Board of Education would be nice.
Okay.
Really?
who asked you?
On that note,
Now she's going to bring it up. Nice comment.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, there we are. Oh, fab.
Wonderful.
Wait.
Oh, sure.
great. That's really
Thanks so
nice.
much.
Oh, yeah, thanks. What, do we have to put our profiles on there?
Oh, that's
Lynn
right.
Williams? We do?
Probably.
We can. We can.
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
thank you so much. This is great.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, mine would be better.
Any other comments? Otherwise, we'll move on to the early warning system.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, actually, this early warning system, but it's about early warning about interventions for students.
I like that.
This is something that, in the realm of using statistical analysis to authenticate our work, to determine whether our work is being successful, or to help us point out problems. It's been something we've been trying to do as part of the strategic plan for a number of years. This is an actual authentic application of that, and which has the potential for great results and really making us more efficient, more selective, and more strategic in how we help kids who need help. Mr. Woogeyser has done quite a bit of this work, and he's going to make the report for us tonight.
All right, thank you. So I'm excited to kind of present this to you. It's a new system that we're using this year. One of the things that the system does is it pulls critical data from our school management system, and it organizes it and sorts it, like Dr. McDonald was saying, to make it more efficient for our staff to identify students that need more support. So if I can direct your attention up there, I did a snapshot of what the report looks like. There is, to the left, information about student ID that I didn't show you, but it has a student ID, the student's name, the counselor. If they have a case manager for special education, that'll pop up. It'll indicate whether they have an IEP or a 504. So it gives you kind of that demographic data. Then when we run the system, this report comes out. So this is the right part of the report. And it really is pulling the critical data that we're calling the threshold categories. And when you look at, obviously you're seeing a lot of red and whites and things like that. I think one of the nice features about it is that it does the column that's looking a little purple. It actually turns out blue when it runs. But on the screen it's showing purple. But that's sorting the students based on, if you follow the row, the top row, you see there's the red indicators. So they've tripped that column's category. And those critical categories are about, you can see up there about unexcused absences, excused absences, total hospitalizations, in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions. It goes into the discipline of the A and B codes in total, and then it gives the final column on the right is if a student trips the IPR screen, which is a summary of their grades each week. And then the column on the left that is labeled flags, that's where it's sorting it. So it's putting the kind of the most need to the least need of our students, of which categories they've kind of tripped under those threshold categories. So the nice thing is, and I think the best example to kind of explain to you guys is that if I'm a counselor at the school, I could go in and run the first month data of my caseload. I'll get a report that might look like this. So I immediately know that there's 4 students that I probably need to be focusing on. And then I know the categories in red that they've kind of exceeded the threshold. So the nice thing is I can take that information, it's user-friendly. We weren't able to do this with eSchool. eSchool actually houses the information, but to go and get the data. So for example, like if you're gonna go get attendance data, you actually roll over every day of the week and they're color-coded and you have to kind of figure out what the code means and all that. So this helped our counselors and everybody kind of put that all into one thing. So Tony, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that there's absences, hospitalizations, like I mentioned, those are those critical threshold features. And the way we created this system was really through a needs assessment. So I took it to Vincent Sherry and said to him, I said, you know, what is it that your department needs to be more efficient and you know, help them in their jobs? So they did a needs assessment and came back with a really kind of, and Tony, you can scroll a little bit farther, really kind of 3 areas that they kind of questioned. And what I like about what they actually came up with is when you look at those checks where it says, how can we gather critical data? How can we prioritize student needs and how do we respond? That's really the tenets of the professional learning communities. So I really like that they honed in on that. The problem that they were having is how do they do it all and how do they get it to work? So this system kind of answers that for them. So again, if I'm a counselor, I can run my data for the first month, I could do it for the first semester, I could do it at a year and reflect back. Obviously the biggest thing is we're having them run it by month. The nice thing is we also kind of shifted their focus on their alpha teams. So their alpha teams are a meeting between their counselor, dean, and a psych and social worker, and they kind of talk about students. So this gives them a focus of who to talk about. We also created, Tony, if you can scroll a little bit more, there's, keep going a little bit farther. I'm jumping around a little bit because you guys can read through some of this, but down at the bottom there where it says, how will this be used? So we're now charging our alpha teams to do an alpha problem solving where they're going to use the data from what they've gathered. They're going to write goals and have kind of develop what the interventions will be. Then there's going to be the alpha intervention, so they'll record those in our school management system, and then they're going to come back and have to close that. So think of a kind of a circle around a student, and they're going to monitor then if the interventions were effective. They're going to use the data because they can run the system again and see where the students are at. So it kind of helps them, you know, guide their focus, and it allows them to just have more information at their fingertips. And if you scroll a little bit farther, the next project that we have that's kind of half done, so we're excited we'll be able to test it out this school year though, is really when we say what's the next steps, we have in development a student summary report. So imagine that if you went and you saw that first student had, you know, tripped 6 of those critical, you can go in to report in eSchool, type in a student's ID number, and it's going to pull information about the demographics of the student. So it'll give like credits, GPA. It'll pull assessment data that's going to compare to peers. So imagine like the performance reading series assessment that we give. It'll pull a student that will say 9th grade, their score might have been a 3,000, and then the 9th grade average was a 3,200. And so it's going to help our psychologists, our social workers, our counselors, and even special education to be able to start making comparisons against their peers. So we're excited about that part of it. We have the prototype developed. We're just trying to tweak it and get everything into eSchool to make sure it works. And I've been working with Gina on that. I give a lot of credit to Vincent Sherry and Rod. Rod is actually building this, which is really cool. So he's been instrumental in getting kind of the vision into reality for us. And so we're really excited about where we're going because we'll be able to, imagine now, we'll be able to go in and run data on how many problem-solving meetings did we have in a school year, how many interventions did we have. The teams really are going to use that to drive what type of interventions are working, what type of interventions do we need, and we're fully prepared to have our staff say, what other interventions do we need? Or I tried this, others should try this, because this worked. And so we're really excited about it. The nice thing is it is going to be used for special services as well. So deans have access to it, special education case managers. Our assist teams will use it, alpha teams will use it, and our CSSS will use it. So it's live, it's working. I had a meeting with Vince today, and he was just like, I wish I could be here to brag about how well it's actually being used right now. So the staff are really excited about it. So we wanted to take the time to share it with you. So
They already are using it.
yeah, they're already using the early warning
First
system.
part, right.
The student sheet will be out probably in about a month or so to try.
great.
And then we'll just keep building on the student sheet, because imagine our assessment data that we're going to try to take with working with Gina, all our staff this year. So we don't want to grab the data this year because it's a pilot, but they're doing baseline data for, say, Math 1 in the September, and then they're going to have their semester exam and then final exam. So we'll be able to grab that data and then compare it to peers as well. And so it'll be a great system in terms of anyone could run a report on a student and get a really quick picture, how well they're doing and what kind of interventions they might need. So we're really excited about it.
Pretty frightening, isn't it?
How is it that somebody else didn't think of this before? I'm just saying globally, not just, and we're doing it here. This is something that if it really proves out, would be a useful tool for just about any district to have. And thinking locally here, I don't know how far you're thinking forward on this, but knowing that interventions, the earlier they can occur, the better. Is this something that we'd be able to share or do something with some of our feeder school districts?
Absolutely. We
wow.
I meet with our partner districts, with the special ed directors, and I've shared this with them because this was in development last year, so I shared with them that we were doing that, and so we've already kind of talked about it. They just haven't seen. I meet with them in a couple weeks, and so I was going to share it with them.
It's so powerful. Just think about if we could know and have interventions planned for a freshman entering the school.
Yeah.
Wow. This is really, really powerful, and the fact that we have the expertise
right here
to put this together here and the vision.
Are you aware that other
can't say
districts are
enough.
doing anything like it? Or is this really unique?
There are some of the school management systems run, I think, features similar to this, but this is probably more detailed and more specific, where the other ones are more generic, and so we have more control over building something that works for our school.
It's our very own.
It's too bad we can't do this at the conference.
Yeah,
I am
Next
so
year.
so excited about this. This could really impact students' lives in just huge ways. What a jump forward. So thank you so much.
Scott, I had a question, and maybe you said this and I just missed it. So right now, two questions. How did you come up with the threshold? Was it consensus, or?
Well, what we did is, the first thing we did is we asked what our staff needed, and they kept talking about the data. And
Right.
those, when you think of that alpha team, that's really kind of started from the vision of it, where they just kept asking, we have a hard time collecting data on discipline even, or the attendance. We don't ever, you have to navigate many screens, but then also you have to, like I said, for an attendance, you have to roll over things.
Right.
So.
But let me re-ask, I don't think I asked my question.
Well, and then you're wondering about the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So what we did is we followed a little bit about kind of the way we operate in terms of how many unexcused absences, that kids can get and things like that. I think our threshold is at 5. So we based a little bit on our practice. So students get so many unexcused absence, then there's a call home, and then they got to do, doctor's notes, things like that when they're out. Our team really gave us a lot of the data based on those threshold levels on what they felt in their own experience, from their previous, experiences. But like one of them, you'll notice like the B offenses we had at just greater than 1, because that's a serious offense and we want to know that right away. So it's kind of an experiment in a little bit, but we do know that just based on, a lot of this is also looking at like our PBIS programs and social emotional learning and, where kids are, when they're missing school, they're missing instruction time. When they're getting in trouble, they're missing instruction time. So a lot of it is based on just trying to catch it early. And the nice thing is we can tweak those. And we've talked about that we want to see how it goes. Right now, we kind of made an agreement that we would focus on 3 flags or more. Or if there's 3 or more in the DNF. Because imagine a student that all they're doing is failing classes, but they're not missing school. They have a different set of needs than a student that maybe is missing classes and get, breaking our discipline code and things like that. So they're really looking at 2 different things when they're looking at the system.
It's a lot of analysis.
But yeah, so it's kind of a work in progress. We might find that we have to go down to 2 flags, and we might find that we might go up just because I think the nice thing is that our alpha teams, this isn't really changing our alpha teams what they've already been doing.
Right.
We're just redefining it a little bit. They still have, our alpha teams can still meet and talk about students that are either flagged or not flagged, because we wanted to preserve that culture and that, I think the good work that they've been doing. And then this just helps them, and they've all been really excited about it because it kind of puts it into a little bit more structure. That we can run data on. So
Well, the other thing I was curious about is I know that you're linking it to failing grades. So have you looked at the data from kids who are not failing? Are there kids who are missing a lot of school but aren't failing?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, honestly, the categories when they turn up red and things like that, it's all over the place. So I think we'll start to see trends like that to look at, okay, like we can run then data on, was it that they're failing classes, or missing school, and they're also failing out a huge number like that? Or is it that they're breaking our discipline code and failing classes, and that's a correlation? So we'll be able to do a lot of different things with it. It's kind of nice.
Seems like a circle of life thing, actually. I mean, the data, you get the data, you have your teams, you get together, you share, you talk about interventions that are working, interventions that aren't working, share that data, and so those thresholds end up changing, and this just continually feeds on itself to become more and more refined. I mean, this is really just tremendous.
Heuristic learning.
2 things. I think it's fantastic. One thought that pops in my mind is a morbid thought about security and safety in schools, and a lot of school shooting news that we see. We know that there were flags and they were not caught. It seems like a program like this is an excellent way of deterring that.
That's what I was thinking.
And then second, just 2 weeks ago, the legislature passed entirely new changes to the student discipline code. And this seems really timely, and I'm wondering if you're planning on making some changes to how we institute student discipline based on the data and statistics that we've drawn from this program.
Yeah, there was legislation that just changed, and we do have, I think, a committee that's is getting together in October, I believe, to look over those changes that we'll have. The nice thing is I work with the PBIS programs at both schools. I work with both Lucia and Kristen, so they both cover discipline within both schools. So we've already talked about this. We've shared it with them. We also have another database that I can share with you that I created with Rod to pull a whole bunch of data in terms of our discipline referrals based on grade level, based on ethnicity, based on free and reduced lunch, IEP. We can run a whole bunch of data that we're actually putting that together as we're speaking here. We've already rolled out a little bit with our teams with that. So it all kind of is connected together, which I think is a nice thing that we're all working together to share this information, and we'll be able to share the results and things like that. And the deans are part of the alpha meetings too, so they're involved in that too. So yeah, it's going to be a nice thing.
Oh yeah.
Actually, if you look at the legislation, there's a lot in that about social emotional learning and verifying students have received interventions and support systems within the school and developing a positive culture. So frankly, that's a great point, Don, because, and I'm going to be part of that committee looking at, because many years ago I was a dean, so I know some of this stuff. And but it does, after reading through the legislation itself, it does seem like many of the things we are doing are going to be closely aligned with that, and we really aren't going to make that many changes based on the way we're doing business, at least hopefully.
Cool.
Thank you. That's fabulous. Fabulous.
It's just great.
We done? Another questions? Moving on to the discussion about the South High sign.
Unfortunately, Jim isn't here yet. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Where's he coming from?
Jim's coming from the Plan Commission meeting about the
kept your seat warm, too.
the INP2 zoning
Oh, right, from the
application.
planning, yeah, that's right.
He's at the,
Anybody want to tune into the village? and see what's
Should we
going
just,
on?
meeting?
do they televise their meetings too?
So to begin this discussion, I want to set a sort of a pretense for it. For a number of years now, it seems that we've been going back and forth with the Village of Downers Grove about our school signs. The primary issue is the village's sign ordinance. And over the last, let's say, 20 months, we've really had two questions for the village. One question has been about implementing digital signage. And I think at least, in my opinion, we've been given a definitive no to that. But the other issue is that the signs the sign at North and the sign that was at South, and were we to replace the sign that we lost in the tornado at South, the same size and same location, both of those signs would be out of compliance with the ordinance. In fact, right now, the village is not fining us for the north sign, but they could, and they could, I presume, force us legally to take it down. We embarked on the INP2 zoning classification. Initially, this was potentially going to create a situation for us that we could ask the question about digital signage. That proved not to be correct. Or we asked the question and we were not supported. Additionally, it was a venue to enable us to keep the north sign without taking it down, changing its location or size, and also reinstalling the south sign that we had lost. And then I think finally, our architects and our legal counsel believes that the INP2 zoning perhaps or likely sets us up better for future construction projects in the future. And so we've, as you know, we've been pursuing the INP2 zoning for a year and a half, and tonight it's gone to the Plan Commission, and assuming a positive result, we'll go to the Village Council within the next month. And assuming a positive result, we'll keep the sign at North without taking it down or being fined, then we can replace the sign at South. Now, part of our proposal for the INP2 zoning was, in fact, to keep the sign at North in situ, and also replicate the sign at South in roughly the same size and location. Been brought to my attention by board members that we did not discuss with the board the parameters of the sign at South. That's correct, we did not. If the board wants to us to pull that sign so we can have that discussion, that's the purview of the board. Jim and I believe that, given the fact that the north sign is out of compliance currently, the south sign, had it remained in place, would have been out of compliance. The IMP2 zoning is an opportunity for us to have those signs as they were or like they were, but not to embellish them. I'm not sure what the village's response would be if we indicated we'd like to pull the application for the sign and submit an application for another sign. But that is our right to do that.
So the drawing that we have is the proposal. Is it
Apparently.
lighted from,
Now,
is it lighted inside?
Yes, it is a messaging sign. Now, do we have the option in terms of the landscaping around the sign, the colors used, the logo on it? I think that's our purview. We don't need that sort of approval. But in terms of the location of the sign and generally the size of it, the size of the sign that will be read by the public, I think that's part of the,
So even though,
part of what the village wants to control.
even though we have a different zoning classification, that still would be, there would still be limitations.
And I would just add that, as I recall, when we were looking at electronic signs, we talked as a board about keeping the signs relatively the same across both campuses. Whether they were electronic or whatever, that there was going to be a look and feel relatively the same. So I was not surprised that we went forward with something that looked like that.
Right, I'm not either.
I didn't have a similar recollection.
Yeah.
My recollection is that for the sake of pursuing the digital sign, we proposed something that was very similar to what we have at North, as a path of least resistance to getting village approval for the digital component. But I don't recall ever saying, if it's not digital, then we should still just do this. And my personal opinion about it is that this is a pretty vanilla sort of sign, and I'm not looking for something grandiose, but it would be nice to have something that was a little more attractive. A sign does communicate to people something about what it is you're doing in more ways than just having the lettering there. And so you'd expect the architect to say design matters.
Well, it does.
But I think it does. And I know it's, the easy way out just to say, well, we'll just do what's at North. I think that the architect here, if I'm not mistaken, was probably given the directive to put something together similar to what we have at North. Never were they asked, what would you recommend we do? And that was the piece of this that I thought was missing. And I'm as frustrated, disgusted, as we all are at this whole convoluted process we've gone through.
You don't want me to say what I really feel.
I'm trying to speak for about that.
Keep it nice.
I am.
But it's still, I'm not, I have clients all the time that sometimes we get to an end of a project and there's this tendency there just to say, I just need to be done with it. And you let things go because of that. And I'm usually there to coach my clients that we don't want to do that. We've come this far, get it over the goal line. And I think that, we gave up. Not only did we lose the sign that we had in the corner to the tornado, but we also tore down
Two other signs.
kind of attractive looking signs that now we have nothing, and this is what we're going to put back. And I as much as like I said, I'd love to be done with this. I'd like to see us take a look at doing something a little nicer.
Aren't we financially constrained too, though? I mean, we don't want to go too over the top, money-wise.
Well,
But
I'd like to know how much we really have spent on this already. It's probably a ridiculous amount with architectures and lawyers'
Legal fees.
and permits, and now we want to extend it even longer.
Well,
Yeah.
Wasn't it something like 20,000, not including everybody's time?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of that's legal,
yeah.
correct?
Most of that's legal, but some of it's architect.
Which is,
It took to draw this up.
I guess my thought on the south sign is that it should be south appropriate, not just north appropriate for north because of its location and as close as the building is to the street, we're confined to that particular sign. South, we have a little more leeway, and I think because of that, I think we should do it more appropriate for South High and not just copy North and put it there.
I guess, what do you mean by more appropriate for South High, though? Shit, Terry.
Can I chime in?
It should be
Yeah,
appropriate for the
well,
district, it seems to me. I'm just saying.
Well, it may be, but South High is where it is. It's not going to be for the district, because if we want one for the ASC, that's a different sign. I think, trying to think of how to say this more politically correct, but I mean, we get so many people who complain that South High, looks like it's not a nice awning or place or whatever. Maybe if we had a little nicer sign, that might solve some of those problems.
I was going to interject.
Or is that-
This is something that the question being asked is really more appropriately directed. That's the purview of the architect, to say, what would you do here that would be reflective of the location of the building. There's things to take into account, for instance, the speed of traffic going by on the street and how visible the sign is, its proximity to the street. There's just a number of things to take into account in terms of the design. And I'm saying that it was really never even thought about.
Well, and I think
Well, I'm not sure that's accurate.
Yeah.
Because to say it wasn't thought about, it was in fact thought about
a lot,
based on the perception of the sign ordinance and what was going to be allowed and not allowed.
Fair correction.
And in terms of, I understand the message in general that it's supposed to be reflective of South High. Now, I'm a South High person. Okay, I was a principal at South High. My son graduated from South High. Very proud of all that. That said, it's a sign. The size of it is going to be relatively the same as it was. And the sign at North, it's not going to be a lot larger. I don't believe a larger sign is going to be approved.
Exactly.
It may not, but
Or it may.
I think that we also need to look at it. It is eventually going to be a digital sign. Let's be honest.
It'll be after my
lifetimes?
retirement, Mrs. Peosic.
I may be dead too.
Is it not?
I may be dead too, but this village needs to be a little more progressive in its thinking. And so, I hate to build something and then, oh gee, now you can put up your digital sign and it'll be a different type of sign. That's not where we want to go, because that's a waste of money too.
Well, I understand, and this sign we can convert this sign to a digital sign in the future. It's going to have
We're
the,
prepping it that way.
Well,
electrical capacity to do that. And unfortunately, as long as the village has this ordinance, our choice is either to go without a sign itself, which we've done for 4 years.
I think that's the way to go.
I do not.
Yeah, for
I think
4
we're ready
years,
for a
and
sign.
there are people that think we should have a sign now.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we should have a sign now too, but
Absolutely.
but this is this has gone on too long, and the village has way too much say in something that should be our say.
It's not going to change, though.
I know.
It's not going to change.
It has a completely different board now.
Yeah. Maybe it will change.
To say that it's not going to change is,
well, it's not completely.
The possibility of being an incorrect statement.
Okay.
I think that this sign should be reflective of the scope and the size and the location and the architecture that we see here, that it should be appropriately designed for South High School.
I agree.
To say that it is just going to the look, the feel, the size of the same size as North is inappropriate. And I think that we have come this far, and I do believe in what Mike had just said, and that, now is not the time, after spending the kind of time that we did, to wipe our hands and just say, well, just put up whatever. I don't think that that's appropriate.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but if it's going to add to the time again, and I realize, we've come this far, if it were a few more weeks maybe, but if it's going to be another few months or another year, I don't want it to last that long. I think if it's a flexible sign that could be changed in the future, that's something to consider. And I'm not quite sure what appropriate for South means either, but we still live with parameters that are dictated by the zoning, even the new zoning, right? It's got to be a certain size, right?
Presuming the village sign ordinance
is still
in effect. The new zoning gives us certain. I mean, frankly, the signs where the south sign was, the size it was, where the north sign is, and the size it is, they are out of compliance with the village ordinance.
Right.
Period.
But this new sign, is also going to be out of compliance in terms of location.
Correct.
Those things used to, and the IMP allows for those sorts of things to happen, including the size of the sign and things of those nature.
Within
as well.
parameters, right?
No.
My understanding is it's within parameters.
Within what parameters?
Mike, I can't tell you that. I don't know which
We have to go back to the
parameters.
village for changes, don't we?
I would presume we have to go back to the village for changes, yes.
I guess I don't understand, and maybe I'm at that point where I just want to say, I'm done with this.
I'm afraid that's where I am.
And I appreciate the fact that you recognize it, but I guess I don't understand, is it the size, you want it to be larger, is it that you don't like the brick?
Yeah,
Because you said we could landscape it nicely,
Because we're
right?
landscaping, Jim, the north parking lot is landscaped beautifully. That was when we did flip the field. I'm always amazed at how beautiful it is. So I would assume we would landscape it as nicely.
I guess I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this isn't prairie style. That's what our building is a prairie style.
What does that?
And
South is a prairie style?
That's the building
The building
design.
is prairie style.
Really?
Yeah.
Why I missed that?
Yeah, no.
But
I
don't know what that means for a sign. Would it have the little prairie
I
sign?
don't know. I just feel like this is just a copy of North.
See, you're asking. See, I have to see, Julia. You're asking questions. I question. Well, what do you want then? And that's. And see, this is. I could, if you wanted me to, I very much could have gone and designed a few different options for us. All right. I know I can come up with something that looks a little more interesting than this box on this little brick pedestal. That's not what I'm supposed to do. That's not what you're supposed to do. It's not what Terry's supposed to do.
Right.
That's what the architect's supposed to do. And my objection to the process was that I was never given the opportunity to say, architect, what would you do for me here? I mean, it didn't happen. And so that's my objection to the process and how we are here. And I want to be done with it too. But this thing is, I think it's just a shame. And I know that when it gets put up, it's going to be there for the next, 30, 40 years. It's probably not going to come down.
So is it fair?
I can't go back.
Is it fair to say, if we go forward with this, that we that if it's substantively the same as what comes through the zoning, in terms of not bigger than however large and not smaller than whatever, and so many feet from the curb, et cetera, do we know if there's some latitude to change the design, recognizing that it probably won't be substantial, I'm thinking, but we don't want to delay, because we want to get a sign up. I mean, I gotta tell you, I personally am fine with this sign. I think it's pretty.
Okay.
I don't think they ever thought of just sticking it out there. I thought there was going to be some landscaping around it. too.
Right.
I don't think it was just going to be a sign in the middle of the
Well, I
field.
think we're required to put landscaping around it, no matter what we put.
Well.
That's,
Can we get more direction as to what the village's process would be if we wanted to make alterations to the design?
We can certainly get that direction, Don. We're going to have to ask
There are
them.
strong feelings from the board that I'm hearing. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, but I respect the other board members who do.
Yeah.
We would have, what we would have to do, because the sign is already part of the proposal, we have to go to the village staff and tell them that we're pulling the sign, because we want to look at the design of the sign again.
Yeah.
I don't know what their response to that is going
Yeah.
to be. Well, I mean, I don't know what their response, in terms of, are they going to say, that's fine, we'll go ahead with the INP2 zoning anyway? They could say, well, we're going to have to hold up the INP2 zoning then until we see what kind of sign you
Yeah,
want
that's
to put
what
in there.
concerns me.
They could say that,
I just don't want to,
you
I'm
know,
like
we're
Nancy, I don't
really
want to wait.
disappointed in the school district because
And I think they could change their
we
minds.
thought all along you understood this is where we wanted to go, and now we're not going there, and
Yeah.
I mean, those are all options, but we can certainly, yes, tomorrow we can contact them and say, we'd like to pull the sign and look at the design again, and what are our options to do that?
and I think that's what we
Don't
should do.
Don't communicate necessarily that we're pulling the design.
Right.
Just say,
Could we ask what,
if we wanted to reconsider the design that's
What would
already been
the-
submitted, what would that do to
Yeah,
your
what would the
process?
consequences
And then-
be?
Do it that way also.
Right.
And then you can report to the board, and maybe we
Mm-hmm.
can make a decision from there? Would that
like a
influence?
great-
If it's going to slow things down, would that influence your
My
your
position? No.
No? Okay.
And I might remind the board that I'm in support of what you're suggesting, though.
Right.
You know, And we take it from there.
I could go with that.
I would like to remind the board that the village created this IMPs2 zoning
For us.
for us.
Right.
We're not, they want us to do this. We're not in jeopardy of
understand that.
not having that approval.
I will also remind you that the village told us that they wanted us to go forward with the idea of having
Exactly.
digital signs.
Yeah.
And then when it came to the vote,
That's right.
it was a
They
different
said,
story.
And two of the people that voted against it are gone.
Yeah, and it's a big political football, so that everybody can look around and go, we did this, we did that. You know what? I'm done with that part.
I don't know if it's,
I think they need to really work with us a little bit.
Well, I don't know whether they will or they won't, but I am in supportive of your idea that we
I
go
do too, I am
forward.
too.
Say, is there an opportunity to make some changes? If there are, what are those parameters? If not,
I don't think it could hurt to ask that
Yeah.
question.
no,
a great
I
idea.
don't think so either. I would agree. As much as I really want to see a sign there.
Well, it's not that none of us want to see a
No, I
sign.
understand that. I totally get what you're saying. It is going to be there for a long time.
And I've waited 4 years, so I can wait 6 more months or 9 more months if I need to.
But I wouldn't
to get
wanna wait
something
another
that-
year or
To
two.
get something that's, you know, it's going to be there for a long time. And I know to a lot of people, this may seem like just be done with it, but.
I'm ashamed to
I
ask
think it
this, but
matters.
where will the sign go? I don't know.
It's going to be on 63rd Street or visible from 63rd Street.
Is it
It's
about
probably
where
going
the
to
old one
be,
was?
I presume it's going to be,
So it'll be 30 feet south of 63rd and 90 feet west of Dunham.
There was a drawing of that.
63rd.
it's going to be due east of the tennis courts.
Closer to
In talking, in talking with Jim, I know he wants,
Because it's in the
really
middle
want
of
to be here. He found out tonight that they bumped him back 2 agenda items on theirs because they had some other things. But, you know, we were I think, kind of have a meeting of minds that let's let the IMP go through the way it is right
Yeah.
now and get that locked in. And
Yeah.
then if there is a consensus that you'd like to see different drawings, maybe it may not be enough of a modification that it has to change anything in the IMP.
Right.
It just could be some style issues, I don't know. But I think it'd be easier for them to make a decision once they see something. And we both didn't want the IMP to be held up for 2,
Absolutely.
3, 5
Yeah.
months, whatever, for that process to go up. And so that would be our course, I think, that we would like you to consider is let's get the IMP. I think
Yeah.
we're 1 or 2 steps away from getting that, and then we'll talk from the IMP perspective. Okay, it'll be a little easier for them to know, okay, this is something that we're in IMP, can you possibly accept a different, whatever, decorative look to the sign, as long as it's, and if they say no, it's gotta be, then we'll know specifically what they don't
Right.
like or like. But this was something we were hoping to suggest. The only thing this would do is he intended to put us out to bid and have it for October. We would just stop that process and we would just start again, maybe not all from scratch, and the architects may have some ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't asked them and maybe they would, I don't see that as a tremendously expensive process to let them do
Right.
some renderings and tell us what they would do and knowing the local political.
I appreciate that. I just, this was, if it was possible for us just to rewind all the way back to the beginning, we were just doing this now, we would, I don't think there's a person sitting here that wouldn't, without this whole history, and this was a brand-new thing, that we would be looking at, here's a few options of what we might do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Sort of what we did with the digital sign.
Yes, and that's all I'm saying, let's not skip that process. And so if we can accomplish that the way Mark's suggesting, that's fine with me.
I really support Mark's request that we get this thing locked in and then talk about possible changes.
Terry? That's fine. I agree. Rick?
Yep.
Deb? Good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the reception of visitors. Is there anybody who'd like to address the board?
By all means.
Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Right?